Thank you. Thanks, Nicholas. So, um, yeah, today I'm going to be talking about the open source software at University of Waikato. So I'm going to try to explain a little bit the history of how things has been there during the last years. I'll talk about the beginnings, and I'll also talk about the new ways that we are using right now. So just to mention that, yeah, we have this new institute that is called Teipu Temahara Artificial Intelligence Institute. So Teipu Temahara means in Maori, that's the indigenous people in New Zealand, means the receptacle of consciousness. And yeah, this is a new institute that was created, started in April this year, and yeah, we are very happy to have this, and you will see that yeah, the University of Waikato has been a long tradition in open source software, and especially in machine learning, data mining, artificial intelligence. So yeah, just to see that we are really open source focused. Yeah, this is something that appeared last week. This is from the Bjorn Brigham from the AI Institute at Deloitte. And yeah, it was a very nice advertisement. So yeah, that's about what we are doing now. We are very focused on open source. So everything that we are doing is open source. So yeah, this is something that we are very proud, and yeah, we are really pushing for this. And in this sense, you will see that, for example, in terms of machine learning, the Weka software at the University of Waikato was one of the pioneers. So that's something to consider. And just to mention that maybe nowadays open source is something that is obvious and everybody is supporting. And for example, yeah, many companies that before they were not very open source friendly, right now they are really open source. But this is something that changed over time. And yeah, we'll see that at the beginning that was not the case. And this is something that, yeah, likely we can say that, yeah, we are very happy that all of this has evolved in a very nice way. So just to say, for example, that Weka, that was started in 90, the first versions were released in 93, 94. So it was not open source because the word open source was not was created later. So before that, we were using other words, but not open source. So it's very interesting that there was one day that this open source label was created, and then from that day, yeah, there exists the open source software. But before that, there were other names. So it's very interesting that, for example, Weka was not open source at the beginning because the open source label was not yet created. That's can you imagine that this is in the 90s? So that was 1992, and there were only maybe two other open source software, but there was in terms of machine learning. So Weka was one of the first. And then in terms of why open source, especially in machine learning, in data science, is because we need to be able to reproduce the results that we do on the experiments. No? And I think this is something that, for example, in all conferences on machine learning, data mining, AI, now one important thing is reproducibility. So all the papers need to be reproducible. So this is something that reviewers need to check. And yeah, that means in terms of the source code, in terms of the data. And I think this is something that is becoming quite popular. And I think that, yeah, that in this case, yeah, open source is really useful, no? In the sense that if we run in a closed platform, then not everybody can reproduce these experiments, or they need to pay to be able to get that software to reproduce experiments. So in terms of science, of open science, the fact that all experiments can be reproduced, yeah, open source is a core idea on that. So yeah, and then yeah, just to mentioned that all big companies right now are supporting open source, and this is something that, yeah, maybe many years ago was not something that was obvious, but yeah, nowadays we can see that if we look at GitHub, we see that, yeah, big companies are the ones that are contributing the most. And yeah, it's getting nice in the sense that especially, yeah, in machine learning AI, everything is open source and available. So what could be more challenging is in terms of resources, no? How to run these deep neural networks that require a lot of energy, a lot of computational resources. But in terms of software, usually this is open available. Good. And then, yeah, in terms of the University of Waikato, so this is a university in New Zealand that is well famous for this software, Weka. And yeah, just to say where it is, so this is in the North Island. And if New Zealand is very well known for the Lord of the Rings, and then in this case, we can say that the University of Waikato is near Hobbiton, where Hobbiton was filmed. And for example, this year, yeah, we organized this New Zealand workshop on artificial intelligence, and we hosted inside Hobbiton. So it was very nice to have an event in Hobbiton, and then you have a tour visit, and also you have a dinner inside the pub inside Hobbiton. So that was quite nice. So yeah, University of Waikato. Waikato is area. It's not the biggest city. In this case, Auckland is the biggest city. So yeah, University of Waikato is very well known internationally for the machine learning group and all the expertise in machine learning and artificial intelligence. And that's due to this software, Weka. So Weka is a software that is in Java, and is a software that is specific for running experiments on data mining, machine learning. It's very popular, has more than 10 million downloads, and it has more than 20,000 citations. So yeah, it has become a very popular. So maybe just to talk a little bit. So the name Weka comes from these native birds. So New Zealand has a lot of native birds, and then Weka is one of them. And yeah, this is why the name of the software is Weka. You see that we have other open source software that they have other names of birds, but yeah, this one is a very let's say very well known bird in New Zealand that is called Weka. So yeah, maybe let me show you a video before I. So yeah, this is a video from Google, where from Google developers, where they explain, they do an introduction to Weka. So I'll try to show you only the first minutes.
Hey everyone, today I'd like to make a quick video that I hope will be concrete and useful for you. It's about the very first machine learning library I ever tried, and it's called Weka. What's great is that Weka comes with a GUI that makes it easy to visualize your data sets and train and compare different classifiers. And this is a really handy tool to have while you're learning ML. I'll give you a quick walkthrough of how to use Weka, from installation all the way to running experiments, and show you some of what it can do. I'll demo training models on 2 different data sets. First, we'll predict if a patient has diabetes based on attributes like their glucose levels. And next, we'll predict if a congressperson is a Democrat or Republican based on how they voted on different bills. I'll also show you how to evaluate the results of these experiments and how to do things like feature selection to discover which attributes are important. Okay, let's dive right in.
Okay.
The first thing we'll do is.
Okay, so yeah, that was a quick introduction. So yeah, now you may have an idea of what is the software and how it works. And yeah, it's very well known and very popular around the world. So yeah, just to remember a little bit the story. So that was the first website of Weka. So that was Weka 2.1 that was implemented in C++. And yeah, that was funded by the local government, and New Zealand agriculture is really, really important. So the first funding will come from projects on farming and agriculture. And yeah, we can say that yeah, maybe the main person that got the funding for the project and was the main leader was Ian Wheaton. So he's very well known for this book, Data Mining, Practical Machine Learning Tools and Techniques, but also he has been working in other fields. For example, in information retrieval, has this book, Managing Gigabytes, Compressing and Indexing Documents and Images. Or also in terms of search engine, yeah, he has this book, Web Dragons, Inside the Myth of Search Engine and Technology. And yeah, he was yeah, one of the first persons that pushed for Weka and got the funding. And yeah, you can see that the first version of Weka, this Weka 2, was really, let's say, hard to install in the sense that it was not in Java. So then, yeah, you had to compile, and then you had to yeah, create. So it was really, we have to say, it was not really popular at that time because yeah, it was, but that was the beginning, and I think it was very important to have to start creating the expertise on developing software. And yeah, there was a moment that when Java appeared, that then there was this important decision of creating a new version, Weka 3, that was only in Java. The basic idea is that Java could run anywhere, and then that could make it much more easier because, yeah, if not, you can imagine that this Weka 2, yeah, at that time was running on Linux and Solaris, but then, yeah, you need to compile it every time. So it was really, really not very friendly. So, and then, yeah, and I think that when the Weka started to become popular was with the version in Java, when it made it very, very easy to use. So yeah, this is the Weka 3 version. So this is the one in Java. So as it's really, yeah, has been growing during all of these years, and yeah, has many different ways to do that. So yeah, this is the graphical user interface. So it's very easy. We can open a file, and then yeah, we can use it to classify and see the results. But also we can use other methods as clustering, association rules. We can also look at selection of attributes, and so it's quite easy to use. We can also use it. Yeah, that's the main idea is that people that they don't know how to program, they can use it without any problem. So this is something that is quite handy for people that are, yeah, maybe they come from business or from management, and they want to still analyze the data, apply machine learning, but then they don't know how to program in Python, and then, yeah, that it's something that is very easy. So as you can see, it's only first choose the data set, then choose the classifier, and then we evaluate the accuracy. So with that, we see what are the results. And then in terms of the Java API, we can also, yeah, run that using Java code and in a very easy way, and then we can also get the results. So I think that one of the things that Weka has is that the Java API is quite complete in the sense that it's possible to do a lot of things with yeah, writing a small amount of code. In terms, for example, of evaluation, if we compare with the source code in Python, sometimes the people need to write more code. In this case, in Java, was quite concise and compressed. So, for example, here, yeah, we see we get the data source, we create a decision tree, we have an object that is an evaluation, and then finally we use this cross-validation that is a standard way to do an evaluation of a classifier. So yeah, everything is very simple. And yeah, this is the website when Weka 3 appeared. That was in '99. And yeah, I think maybe one of the reasons why also the software became so popular is because there was this book, Data Mining, Practical Machine Learning Tools and Techniques with Java Implementations. That was the first edition of the book. The authors were Ian Wheaton and Iva Frank. And then, yeah, during the years, this has been 4 editions. And yeah, then after the 3rd edition, yeah, Mark Hall was added, and the 4th, Christopher Pal was added. So yeah, that's a little bit the story of the software. And maybe yeah, the thing that there was this book that make that many universities were teaching machine learning, data mining using the software and the book. So that was maybe one of the reasons why that was very, very used in many universities to teach yeah, AI and specifically machine learning and data mining. So yeah, if you want to know more details about the history, I can recommend this paper. It was data mining, Weka data mining software, an update, where it's a little bit explain everything that happened with Weka, a little bit the story and how that was created. So you can see that Weka was started in the 90s. So then the way to develop the software was really, really centralized. So it was a Weka core team that was the one that was really, really maintaining the software. It was not as it is now, that is basically everything is on GitHub, and then there are people that are already accepting what the contributions of the people. So in that time, the idea was that there was a small team that was the one that was deciding everything. And when there were so many contributions, the approach was to create what is called packages. The idea is that everybody could put their code in a package, and then the idea is that there is a package installer, and then in Weka we can install these packages that are. So that was the way. So as you can see, there has been an evolution on that, and now there's an approach that is basically the people uses GitHub, and then they do pull requests, and there is a much more community-based approach. At the time, that was in the 90s. Yeah, the idea was to have that more centralized. This is something that the people always consider what was good, was bad. Was different ways of doing software, and yeah, at the time that was the standard way. So there has been new things. So for example, right now, as you may know, deep learning is so popular. And then, there is a package that is deep learning with Weka. And then the idea is that it makes deep learning quite easy to use for someone that wants to use the graphical user interface, because the idea then is that we can define a neural network, a multilayer perceptron. We can define what are the parameters, and then from there, we can run the experiments and see how it works. There's also well integrated with GPUs, so we can also run GPUs. We can also use GPUs for running this. And then also one nice thing that has is that there is this explainability. Explainable AI is becoming very, very popular. The idea is that every time that we make a prediction in classification, we would like to also understand why. So we want also an explanation. And in this case, for example, you can see we have a dog. We are going to predict the dog, but we would like to know what are the pixels, that why we are deciding that this is a dog. No? And this is quite important just to control and just to check that it's working fine, no? That there is nothing wrong on that. So for example, in this case, it's clear that with this silencing map, we see that it's deciding based on the dog. Now imagine that it was deciding that this is a dog based on the grass, because maybe all the images with dogs are with grass, and then this is something that is important to check. No? And this explainable AI, this is something that allow us to check that there is nothing wrong there. Okay, and then in terms of MLOps, how to use Weka with other systems, that's really, really easy. So in this case, we mentioned R and Python because maybe they are the most standard in data science, where we want to use these tools, and then it's very easy to do it 2 ways. So we can use Weka from R, and we can use R from Weka, and also in Python we can use Weka from Python, or we can use Python from Weka. And finally, yeah, it's also very easy to integrate with Apache Spark or Kubernetes. So yeah, it's really as in Java, and as you may know, all of this software, yeah, it's are very Java friendly. So that in this case, it's quite convenient. And just to mention other software that we have been developing at the University of Waikato, there is this Meka software. So this is a software that is like Weka, but it's specific for multi-level learning. So in the standard classification, we are only predicting one class. So for example, imagine that we are predicting a film, and we're going to predict if it's a comedy or drama. But yeah, in multi-level learning, we can predict several labels at the same time. So for example, we can predict that the film is a comedy and also at the same time is horror. So yeah, we can predict different labels at the same time. So as the evaluation is different, so we decided to create a new software instead of only adding this to Weka. So this is why there is this Meka software that is specific for multi-level learning. In terms of data streams, so we have this software that is called Moa. Moa is also a bird in New Zealand. And yeah, we have published this book at MIT Press that is called Machine Learning for Data Streams with practical examples in Moa. This is a software that is, yeah, in Java is similar to Weka. Also, it's very well connected to Weka. And yeah, this book is open available. So if you are interested, yeah, you can read it online. We have another software that is Adams. Adams is basically a workflow engine. So the idea is that if someone, instead of writing a Java program, wants to create a workflow using a graphical user interface, then Adams is quite good, and it can use Moa classifiers, Moa tools, and Weka at the same time. So it's quite good. Just to remember that Moa is specific for real-time analytics, means that it's not storing the data. It's really, really fast and efficient in terms of memory and time, but also at the same time is adaptive. All the methods are adaptive and they adapt to changes over time. So these are the main properties of Moa. Okay, and just to mention that also at the University of Waikato, we have been working with NVIDIA. So there was this algorithm that is called XGBoost that is very popular in machine learning. This is an ensemble of, this is based on gradient boosting, is an ensemble of decision trees. And this has been very, very popular in terms of, yeah, it has been an algorithm has been used in many Kaggle competitions to win. So it's really, really powerful. And yeah, Corey Mitchell was a PhD student at University of Waikato. He did the implementation for GPUs using CUDA. So yeah, that was also a nice contribution. And yeah, now yeah, Rory is working for NVIDIA. And yeah, we have we have a huge number of different open source, not only machine learning, but also another computer science as networks. And so we have this Center for Open Source or Open Software Innovation, where we have different tools that are available. And yeah, let's say that we had a very strong computer science department and many groups there, cybersecurity, networks, human-computer interaction. They have been digital libraries. They have been providing a lot of open source software, and yeah, in this center, all of this software is available. And just to mention that, yeah, we were the first ones in New Zealand to have this new NVIDIA DGX A100. So this is something, it's a supercomputer for AI, we can say. It's really, really based on GPUs. No? And this is something that specifically for deep learning is quite important. And this is something that, yeah, we are using for different projects that we can run. We are using that in this project that is called TIA. This is an environmental data science project. So This is a project of 7 years. This is with University of Auckland, Canterbury, Beka, and Net Service. The idea is to improve the state of the art in terms of environmental data science and algorithms. We are looking at the temporal aspect. So we are working on streaming, on data streams, but also we are we're looking into spatial aspect, but it's more focused on terms of temporal analytics. So we have a community website where we have data sets, notebooks, and discussion. So the notebooks, it's notebooks in Python, because in data science nowadays, Python is becoming very, very popular. So we thought that it was good to have this community website where people can share notebooks. Where in notebooks we have the source code, but also documentation and the results. So it was a very good way to share experiences and so what the people is doing. So in terms of that, we have this new software that is called River. This is in Python. This is, if you know scikit-learn, so scikit-learn maybe is the most, in terms of machine learning right now, in Python, we have scikit-learn, but we have also for deep learning TensorFlow from Google or PyTorch from Facebook. And for streaming, where, as I said before, we don't store the data and we are adaptive. So if there are changes over time, the models are going to be adapting. So this is, we are supporting this software that is River, that is the merge of two previous Python packages, one that was called Cream and another one that was called Scikit-Multiflow. And we are quite happy of the success of this software. And this software is it's in GitHub, and it's really community-based, many contributors, and so this is how things have changed over time now. Weka at the beginning was really a small team of people that were doing that, and now when we have this software using this open source software using GitHub, it's really community based, and there is a lot of contributions, a lot of feedback through pull requests that makes this really much easier than it was before. 20 years ago, when there was only SVN repository, and it was really much closed. In this case, we can say that also the development of software, of open source software, is really much more open right now. And just to conclude, maybe just to mention some open source software that we are working at the moment at the university. So we have a project that is called user-friendly deep learning. So the idea is that we try to make deep learning how we can add knowledge from the users to the neural networks in a more user-friendly way. So that's a project, and also it's going to be open source. We have a new project that is a machine learning library for Android, and that's in Kotlin. So the idea is that it's should be compatible with Weka and more, but the idea is that it's implemented in Kotlin, and then this is something that we should be able to run in Android. In terms of Tayao, we are building a streaming platform. So the idea is that we want to, as River worked in only one machine, we like to scale and to be able to use using Kafka to store the data, be able to work to create a platform that can be used in real scenarios with many sensors and having all of this information in real time. So we are already working with Scion. This is they have a project that is called Forest Flow. So they are putting sensors in trees, and then we are going to try to analyze this on real time. And finally, we have a species classifier of the species in New Zealand, and this is also a website, and we are also going to be providing the open source software for that. So and I think that with that I think I try to explain a little bit what we are doing, and especially the history. So when things started with Weka in the 90s, and how we are doing things right now in a much more collaborative way. So yeah, thank you very much.